in Crypto Show. Super excited to share with you, as usual, everything that is going on with the crypto market. We have a lot to cover today, and we are live on Facebook as well. So make sure to smash the likes on Facebook. This is 1st of July, a brand new month for the crypto community, and there's a lot of stuff happening as usually with Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, no matter where you are in the space. And we are starting as always with the crypto market. You know, what is going on in the coin market cap. So as you can see, right now Bitcoin is trading about $6,323, which is a minor change in the last 24 hours. And overall, we are seeing this pattern of kind of consolidation, you can call it, or uncertainty, where it's going to go up or it's going to go down. So the buyers and sellers are kind of like, you know, getting on this level from $6,200 to $6,400. So there is a low volatility. And again, as you can see, this big jump in the green candle that happened 2 days ago. In a matter of couple hours, you know, Bitcoin jumped $500 from 5,900 to 6,400, and we can see moves like that in the bull market. It can happen so quickly and so fast, quite frankly, that, you know, in a matter of a day or a couple days, Bitcoin can all of a sudden jump by thousands of dollars, and the bull market can begin, you know, at any moment. It can begin this month. Most likely it will begin more towards September, and today we'll discuss several things. One of them, for example, the possibility of Bitcoin going all the way to $50,000, how it can happen, you know, from the floods in China and how it affects our Bitcoin mining and what does it all mean, to the launch of the VeChain blockchain and the possible writing of a new book by the one and only Satoshi Nakamoto, which is super exciting. So let's get started. You know, today one of the news from China, which is the behemoth of Bitcoin mining, which controls up to 70% of all the mining power, computational power in the world, is now experiencing major damage due to the floods in China. You can see those pictures. It's quite sad. A lot of the miners are just left torn and in the space, totally unusable to mine Bitcoins. And you can say that, you know, how this can affect the whole Bitcoin network. And if we are looking at the hash rate, which basically measures the amount of power, or in other words, terahashes per second that the Bitcoin network is performing, we did see a slight slump all the way from 43 million terahash per second to 30 million terahash per second, which is 30% you know, jump on the low, but it quickly rebounds to 38 million terahash, which means that it's not as much as heavily affected the Bitcoin mining, all the floods that are going on in the market. But nonetheless, it's quite worrisome that natural disasters like this can affect mining, which, you know, if something can happen to large mining corporations, it can negatively affect the power of distribution on the network for computers. And, you know, the less miners there are going to be, the less difficulty it's going to be, and etc. and so forth. So somebody looking at this can say, oh, Bitcoin price has gone down, that's why the hash rate, like, miners are leaving the network. But it's not the case. It's just local floods that affected China. But overall, we don't see a big effect on this. Now, Hayes, which is the co-founder and CEO of BitMEX, the largest exchange that is using margin trading with leverage, and his huge volume, over $2 billion a day are being traded on BitMEX. So he's saying basically that Bitcoin can jump to $20,000 to $50,000, which is a huge range in 2018, and we are one step away from it happening. Now, what does it mean? Well, one positive regulatory decision like introduction of ETFs, which you can see is already happening and people are trying to make it happen. But one like introduction to ETFs, which will allow the retail investors to easier coming into the Bitcoin space and invest, you know, it can climb the price to from $20,000 to $50,000. So yes, there is volatility. Yes, we can see like we're in a bear market right now, right? Bitcoin went down all the way from $20,000 in end of December to $6,000, and we can only see it go, according to him, to $3,000 to $5,000 range. It is possible, but you know, it is not going to always stay like this. You know, just allowing this flood of institutional investors and retail investors with slight changes in regulatory environment, you know, can definitely bring real money to the table, you know, big money to the table, and jump the price of Bitcoin. And we already see applications again for ETFs coming to SEC, and you know, they're basically evaluating this. So SEC evaluating, it's not the first time they're trying to make ETFs happen, but this time this is the third attempt to create a list of Bitcoin ETFs. It is different because now, you know, basically SEC's concern is a high risk investment product, right? This is volatile, but they make it not accessible to small investors. Like the minimum is 25 Bitcoins to get started with this ETF fund proposal. So if this is going to be approved and SEC is looking at that, we can definitely see a big jump. And you know, this is some of the things that you need to be aware of the possible you know, environmental changes that can affect the price of Bitcoin and how it can potentially go up to $50,000 by the end of the year. So this is really exciting to me, as you know, hodling Bitcoin and not selling it like a lot of people are doing and panicking right now. We're going to be definitely focusing a lot in our education on overall wealth mindset, and this is part of this. You know, when we are seeing market corrections and bear markets, it's not forever. It's not forever, and sometimes those are the best opportunities to come in and buy at the cheap prices of cryptocurrencies. As when Bitcoin is going to go up, it's going to raise all the other cryptocurrencies with it. Okay, now this was really fun and exciting. And yesterday was spent like an hour reading this new excerpts of you know, apparently for the supposedly, I would say, allegedly, or a new book that Satoshi Nakamoto himself is writing right now. Now, as you know, Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin himself, it's a pseudonym, and he disappeared from the community in 2010. But not many people know, like, what's the story behind Satoshi? You know, why did he create, like, who is this? Is it one person? Is it a group of people? So there is a lot of over time, like they call him fake Toshis or false prophets that declare themselves, I'm the real Satoshi Nakamoto, like this Craig Wright from Australia. But nonetheless, you know, the community has not been convinced that there was a real Satoshi Nakamoto. So now this new website, NakamotoFamilyFoundation.org, in the typical Satoshi style, was not too much information here. They published a new paper called Duality, which claims to be basically an excerpt of the new book that Satoshi Nakamoto is writing. Ironically, it is a 21-page PDF, which corresponds to 21 million Bitcoin that can totally be mine, right? And he's fascinating to read. Like he's writing like what happened and how he created this project, and why it was such a struggle to remain anonymous. He was 14 years old, and many people believe that, you know, Bitcoin was an overnight success, which is not true. Apparently, It took him 2 years of working almost full times, was dedicating a lot of time from 2007 to 2009 to actually work on Bitcoin protocols. And he changed it like 150 times before he released it to the community, the mailings, the first white paper that he published in 2008. And during the first year of 2009, only him and Hal Finney basically maintained the network. Like, people download the software, the client, but barely anybody used it, right? You remember the first real transaction happened on May 22nd, 2010, a year and a half later, since Bitcoin was launched, when 10,000 Bitcoin were exchanged for 2 pizzas in Florida, right? So it was really tough to launch, especially as this is not the first attempt. It's been tried for many, many years before, and kind of there was a lot of different pieces of this puzzle, so to speak, in different places, and Satoshi Nakamoto bring it all together and created this whole puzzle out of all these places and brought the blockchain, which called time chain originally. For example, he writes that 21 million, why he chose this number, he wanted initially to create 42 million as a limited supply, a number that is associated with all universe and life and what's like this magical number, but he thought people would not be thinking about him seriously. So it's definitely fascinating read if you want to download and read and kind of see behind this personality. Apparently he's not from Japan, but he's from British descent, so quite fascinating to read this. And it's not 100%, of course, confirmed that whether this was indeed written by the real Satoshi Nakamoto or not, but it's quite compelling. Now, founder of infamous Silk Road, who initially in 2013 helped Bitcoin become more popular and mainstream because of the drugs and all of this illegal stuff he was selling on Silk Road. Apparently, the U.S. Supreme Court sentenced him for lifetime of prison. Okay, so no parole and nothing. So this guy is going to sit behind the bars till the rest of his life. Now, Chinese firm confirmed that there is some Tether vulnerability, and USDT, a Tether, is basically a token, a stable token that is backed by real reserves of US dollars, and they have been confirmed. It's sitting in the bank, but they found a vulnerability in one of the exchanges, basically creating USD tokens on the exchange without sending real money to the exchange, which means it's a double spend vulnerability. But it was confirmed by many big exchanges that it's probably an issue with a small exchange that didn't properly basically the protocols of USDT and how to apply this didn't do its job properly. So it's not really affecting Bittrex, Binance, and all the other exchanges with USDT. So no need to worry about that. What else is on the news that is exciting? We have EOS creator Block 1 to vote for Block's producers as community members. So they're basically now 10% of their tokens, and that's how, according to the EOS constitution, they are voting for who is going to basically produce the blocks, like mine in the sense of the word, on the EOS blockchain, which is quite interesting because they have a lot of influence. Out of all the tokens, 275 million tokens already staked on the network. They are now staking another 100 million tokens, which brings it all to 25% of power on the EOS blockchain. So this raised some issues with people, and they're even considering to rehold the project's entire constitution about that, which means, again, we're not quite sure 100% where this whole thing with EOS is going, which was the largest ICO. And if you are wondering about ICO and the state of ICO in 2018, the volume is already double than in 2017. If we are seeing in 2017 537 ICOs, basically last year 552 ICOs, right, with $7 billion raised. This year we're already almost there, like the amount of ICOs, and the volume is close to double, right? And we are just half path through this year. We're not even, finishing 2018 with, of course, two biggest ICOs, EOS and Telegram. EOS raised 4.1 billion and Telegram 1.7 billion through its ICOs. Nonetheless, we are seeing that more people are getting involved despite the regulatory uncertainty about that, and the US SEC Commission basically said that all ICOs are securities. But of course, the United States is not the only country that is dealing with ICO regulation. We have Europe, we have Asia, we have all those different countries that, Switzerland, Singapore, that are participating in the ICO market. And the more success we're going to see with ICOs, the more confidence we're going to have in the market, in the crypto market. And of course, this is definitely going to be and continue to be the way to raise money into the future with cryptocurrencies. Now, VeChain, this project, now finally they released their own blockchain for business, and VeChain is evaluated. Where is it? VeChain, right here, VEN. That's the token symbol. Currently at $2.58 and $54 million in daily trade volume, $1.4 billion in market cap. So this project over here, they launched their own public blockchain, and they're moving out of Ethereum blockchain like Tron has done, and now VeChain is doing as well. And if they're going to succeed, awesome. More confidence in the crypto space. If they're not going to, if something is going to happen, which usually there's always some kind of risk with transitioning in its own blockchain, it's going to affect the whole crypto market. So it's definitely not a small project, and we're going to see during the course of July how successfully they're going to implement their own blockchain. So this is pretty much the news for today. Also Pornhub, which is a huge porn site, with 90 million users, they are now announcing new two currencies that are going to be listed over there, Tron and Zencash, which basically those coins are not private coins. So why would you think they will include those? And the answer is money, right? It's always comes back to money, because those coins, Tron and Zencash, pay them a lot of money to get listed over there. So whether or not you are pro this industry, it's not what we're discussing here, but that can affect Tron and Zencash valuation, as they're going to be exposed to 90 million customers in this space. Okay, so that can definitely affect the amount of Tron and Zencash that people are buying in this space. Okay, so that was pretty much the news for today in Crypto Show. Let me guys know. Hopefully learn some things today, and you are in the market. And I tell you guys, the most important thing is to be in the market, be in the game. Okay, don't get out of the game, be in the game, and stay in tune for what is going on, because we are literally close to experiencing the next bull market. Okay, I know right now it's not as sexy, it's not as exciting, it's in a bear market. It's, people are not as excited as they were in the last part of 2017, but they will be way more excited when again the bull market is going to start, and you don't want to miss that. Gideon is asking, does BitMEX have an auto trading system? I'm not sure about that, as I'm not trading on BitMEX and doing leverage trading right now. Although it's gonna be fun to learn the skills of trading, it's on BitMEX. It is quite dangerous and quite risky. Lots of accounts are being liquidated every single day on BitMEX. Okay, so those are the news for today, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video updates